Hello, Music Multiverse listeners, and welcome to Beyond Your Radio's Unknown Sundays. It's time to talk about something in the industry or the bands or an artist that relatively might be unknown or missed by our watchers, listeners, music collectors, and that they might be interested in exploring a rabbit hole of sorts to go down. It can be from the past, it can be from the present. Please remember that this is an extension of our article section on beyondyourradio.com. So if you want the full details written there by me with links, it's there. Well, here's a shocker for you. Here's a Canadian band from the 90s that I never had an inkling of. I know, shame on me. It's honestly hard to imagine, really, as even though they are from the western part of Canada, I still had plenty of exposure to those kind of bands coming across the border in Buffalo. Examples like 5440, The Odds, Econoline Crush. But mostly, this band is from Alberta, the province of. And to my surprise, at least back then, well, nothing much was coming out of there actually reaching my era. Not even in musicianship, except one, which I knew of in the 2000s, but he was country. My penance, putting them on the program today. Why? Well, to be honest with you, when I found out about them from one of the followers I have on Twitter, yes, a wonderful Canadian heathen, he'll get the reference, I'm sure. Hopefully you will too. I was thinking they would probably have been a one and done. To my surprise, it was actually 4 albums, 3 that, were technical. I purchased them all as quickly as possible at a bargain kind of price and took a dive in and found out they were smack in the wheelhouse of everything I was doing and listening to it back then. Oh, and that country dude I knew of, yeah, he actually founded or was in the band at the beginning and throughout. So this is The Smalls on Unknown Sundays 2024 of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Corb Lund's band, if you'll humor me on that. They were formed in 1989, unknown to me until this year. There you go. I'm sort of participating along with you on this Unknown Sunday, if you will. I only received the albums about 4 months ago. Maybe if memory serves me right, I think it was 4 months ago. So this is about the time of the Canadian invasion, as we call it here in Buffalo, New York. And not that the sweet Canadians could really ever invade anything other than the United States Mall. Hey, wait, I'm just being funny. Stop the hate mail. You know I love you, and you know you love them all. When I first put on To Each a Zone, which is the 1992 album after their debut, The Smalls, I immediately realized the punk production kind of muted and raw, kind of to some degree. However, despite that, this was a grunge garage punk band sound that was in it to win it, which is great. That's what I like, right? The bassist was just nailing it down. That's Corb Lund. And in a punk like production, sometimes that can be lost for sure. The vocalist Mike Caldwell, well, he had an unusual odd grip on certain songs, and then the register change on others, which elevates this truly garage punk recording. I was like, why weren't these guys on the coast over here playing with bands like the Headstones, the Morganfields, or even Junkhouse at the time? There's no question that my Twitter, okay, it's X, Jesus, Heathen was, had a great suggestion here, which is why I search and go and scroll. There was no question that To Each His Own was a good starting point for me. It's going to be fitting, though, that we're going to go back to this idea of To Each His Own later. So, one down of the 4, and I don't obviously have the first record, so let's move on to Waste and Tragedy from 1995. Okay, so as you would assume with guys of this talent and different musical tastes, we're getting much more, and we're definitely got a better recording, that's for sure, and we're tapping into the idea of conjunctive musicianship. This one a bit heavier for sure. Steaming ahead in a metal style in some cases, and still holding on to that punk and Caldwell's odd vocal. It's not odd. It's just engages in different ways than you would imagine things happening. Um, you kind of get this idea of how cool and risky they're willing to take things, right? So take this particular song here called Uranus Explodes because it has a Faith No Morean kind of feel and that don't pigeonhole us into some genre or type of music that's going on. And this is the real part of the band I'm now starting to understand. Considering the mix and the musicianship, this in the mix and the members, that's what their sound is, a genuinely incredible mix of anything they're feeling and can make work. Hell, and even if it's obtuse and they still make it work. The beauty of that post whatever we dream up rock experimentalism that still goes on today, it can be shocking and it certainly doesn't always get picked up on the national scene or international scene. There's a lot hitting you. Sometimes it's over the head, and sometimes it's cleverly slighted within, which is the workings of the bridges made in the bass line work from Korb. There's great guitar work too that mingles within and out, and hitting grunge or doing punk or even an alternative kind of side. They just seem to feed so well off of each other. Again, it's a good record. I can't understand why I never picked this up in a record store. Why wasn't there an if you like this, then try the Smalls? Now, I can't say that I know much about underground music scene in Western Canada. Isn't it much of like what's happening on uh, Tulsa King? Okay, okay, stop. I'm just kidding. Winnipeg, don't throw eggs. But now I'm at the final record, and this is a generous reckoning of sound that rivals everything they've done and what was going on around them in the industry at the time. So they're doing it and they're doing it very well. And this is on My Dear Little Angle, not Angel. That's what I thought when I first saw it. They've got an angle, all right, and an elevated spot throughout much of this recording that just feels like a step up and a step within. They got a Garage Days like version of My Saddle Horse Has Died from Corblum's Countryside project that he had started. And even a cover of Natural Woman. Yeah, right. A male quartet feeling like yeah, let's not go there. Um and then of course, let's not speak of this again, this particular song. Or will I? This is 1999, and this is where our four Edmonton loving musicians began to move on from their tenure. So let's get back to each a zone. Yeah, yeah. I am back there to the second album where my journey of the Smalls began. A band formed like this, playing in the underground with punk, rock, jazz, and metal influences, is bound to have zone issues. While they never seem to have that zone issue within the band and the artistry that was put forth on any of these records. Well, maybe they were out in the ozone when they did Natural Woman. See, I told you I'd say it again. They seem to have been confined to a certain zone, though. Not only that on radio position, but that of their place in the underground music scene and the area of Western Canada. While I never got to see them, even in an opening act, is still crazy to me. Why I never heard a single track of theirs from 1990 to 2024 when I'm pretty much a Canadian obsessed music lover. The Smalls, however, kind of bucked that to each his own music philosophy. And for them, it worked. And a timeline, they made three very good records that I finally got to hear because, well, I don't stay in my zone either. Albums of the Smalls in my collection: To Each His Own in 1992, Waste and Tragedy 1995, My Dear Little Angle in 1999. The Smalls, the debut record 1990, came on, I believe, 2 cassettes at the start, and then it was made into a CD. So that one might be a little bit more difficult to get to, but I think I had an opportunity to get it, but I thought I would start in 92. I don't know why, but that's where I thought I'd start. What did you think of the Smalls? That's the important part right here. Are you willing to go down that rabbit hole if you have never heard of them before? Were they what you were expecting if you did? Did you know of them back then? Hey, you'd be ahead of me on that one. Please comment, leave us a note or two. Please click the like button. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll see you next week for another Unknown Sundays, even as the year ends. We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course. We've got articles, videos, podcasts coming soon. Albums, bands, artists, anything we can get our hands on. Go Beyond Your Radio with us, a real music appreciation channel. Remember to join me each and every day till the end of the year for the album countdown to the top albums of the year. That's top 24 albums of 2024. Thanks for watching and happy listening.